So what is it that you're dreaming of? I know you have dreams. We all have dreams. We're continuing our series this month on spiritual wisdom and how to use it. And today the top title is Your Invisible Forces. So that invisible power, that force within each one of us that allows us to really create our dreams. To have whatever it is that we can conjure up in our minds come forward into the world. That's what we can create for ourselves. Your mere presence here on this planet is a gift. It's a gift to life, and it's a gift to yourself. To be that expression of God that you are called to be. You see, each one of us has an energy that we permeate from us. Some of us call it that God energy. Each of us gets to decide, is that energy going to be a force for good in the world? Or is it going to be a negative force in the world? It's our choice. How are we going to view the world, and what are we going to bring forth from ourselves? I know that you've had this experience. I've had it many times, where you walked into a room and you could feel the energy there of the people in the room. Sometimes it's a really high energy and you're really drawn into it. Other times it might be a more negative energy and you're kind of repelled from it. But you pick up on it right away, don't you? Because we're all energy fields. We're all emitting energy. And we know that we are all expressions of God. We're all expressions of the divine. So what kind of energy are we choosing to put out into the world? We will create it. We each get to have our own dance with the divine. We each get to know God in the way that we want to know God. And we honor all paths to God here, so we recognize that there's not just one way to be in relationship with the powers that's greater than us. Call it God, call it Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Allah. Many names, but it's one source, one power, one presence, one energy, and that is the energy of our lives. Ernest Holmes, our founder, wrote a book called, well, actually, he didn't. He didn't write this book, newsflash. But this is his book. This is a collection of lectures. It's called Love and Law. It's a collection of lectures that Ernest started giving, and it's called the Unpublished Teachings of Ernest Holmes. That's why I can say he didn't write it. He wrote the lectures, and he gave them starting in 1918. So his philosophy here, he was sharing with people. Now remember that Ernest, as our founder, didn't want to start a religion. He was trying to teach people to be the best they could be, to tap into that God energy within themselves, and to live from that place of purity, that place of love, that place of truth that is within each person. He would give his lectures in big lecture halls to hundreds of people, and he would encourage them to live their truth. He would always say, don't take what I say as gospel truth here. You live your truth. You see what resonates with your heart, with the God of your understanding, and then that's what you live from. You see, Ernest didn't want to tell people how to live. It wasn't the dogma of a religion. He wanted to teach people how to think. And how we think is to look for the positive in life, to look for the good that's there, to recognize that we have that creative ability within our lives to create. Could you feel the different energy in the students that Maya was interviewing here, getting answers from? I sure could. Now, could I tell which one was which religion? No. I couldn't. Well, I could pick out the atheist. But she was interesting. And you know, we honor all paths to God. So her non-belief there is a path. And so allow her to be. I can't tell her she needs to think something else. That would be me imposing my belief on her. We each get to decide for ourselves. And so that's where the honoring of all religions comes from. And Ernest, when he would teach people this philosophy and to take their own power and to create for themselves their world, then he would say, go back. Go back and be the best Baptist you can be. Be the best Jew you can be. Be the best Roman Catholic you can be. He wasn't trying to start a church. He was really trying to get people to see what he called were the golden threads of truth throughout all of these different religions. And all of the religions, all of the people that Maya had interviewed here, each of their religions have the same kind of philosophy here. That there is a power greater than us in the universe, that we can relate to that, and that it empowers our lives. It says, you are love. Be love in the world. You are joy. You are peace. Be that in the world. And so I love her video, and I love how each of those people express themselves differently. But it was all coming down to what do we believe? What is belief? And how does that play out in our lives? So Ernest Holmes, in his book, Love and Law, his first lecture in the book is called Mind Your Own Business. Now remember, Ernest did have a sense of humor. So, we have enough business of our own to mind to, I don't need to take care of your business. This is philosophy there. So he says, there is only one thing I ask of you. And he's talking about spiritual life here. There's only one thing I've asked of you, and that is that you believe absolutely that this thing works. If you do not believe it works, it will not work. Because everything is belief. So we've heard Jesus say, it's done unto you as you believe. We've said that ourselves. It's according to our belief. What is it that we will believe? And Ernst says, just believe absolutely that this is going to work. Try it out. See if it works for you. Don Miguel Ruth. Miguel. Yes, I was looking for Don on there. Miguel, angel for me. That's his son. Says, you see, everything is about belief. Whatever we believe rules our existence. It rules our life. So it is done as we believe. How do we believe? Ernest goes on after saying, just absolutely believe this, to say everything is mind, and all operation is thought. And there's not a law in the universe that is not the power of mind in action. And there never was and there never will be. Anything you ever saw or will ever see is simply the result of mind in action. So everything comes from our mind, what we're creating. We create it in our mind, and then we can create it in physical form. Yesterday was Parker Day, one of the Parker days, and it was the Parker Day Parade. So here's a picture of our float. We had a wonderful time. Last year, I had just arrived, had been here, 6 months, not quite 6 months, and was trying to have a new member class, actually, and was told, you can't do that. It's Parker Day. What? It's Parker Day. You can't have a class on Parker Day. We're too busy. So I had to go to class. So I decided I would walk downtown and see what Parker Days was. And I got there probably halfway through the parade, and I saw several of the floats that came by, the trucks that came by, the horses that came by. And I thought, what a great opportunity for CSL Parker to let the community know we're here. Why are we not participating in this? So I started giving this more thought. This could be something that would be a great tool to let the community at large know that CSL Parker is here. You're welcome to come and worship with us. And the more I thought about that, the more I shared with other people. They got on board. Yes, that's a great idea. Oh, I've always wanted to be in the parade. We've never done anything. Yes, why don't we do this? And so we came together. I created in my mind what I thought might be a float, because nobody here was really stepping forward to say, oh. So, I get to birth it. So I drew a little picture. I'm not an artist, but I drew a picture of a wagon. And then I cut out some little pieces. It takes me a while because I'm a perfectionist. Of a skirt around it in green. And I put red apples on the skirt. And then I had a big apple sitting on the desk. And I had a schoolhouse. And I took this and I showed it to Katie and I said, what do you think? She's like, oh my God, I love this. This is great. You see, I was in a class trying to figure out what we were doing, and I asked the students, Parker Days is coming. We're thinking about having a float here. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. Their theme was hometown heroes. Well, we needed a hometown hero. So in my class was Susan Anderson. Susan has worked with our children for years, and she was a teacher. She taught a lot of her career. She taught at-risk youth. She taught the kids that were getting kicked out of high school, and so her goal was to get them to complete high school. So she would have her own classes with them. For years, she taught the girls that got pregnant in high school, because oh my God, you couldn't be in high school if you were pregnant. And so she would have them in class. She changed people's lives because she helped them believe in themselves. She helped them find some worth for themselves. And she's telling me about all these different students and how wonderful their lives are and what they're doing and how they should be our hometown hero. And I'm sitting in class. Barbara was there with me. And I'm like, Susan, you're our hometown hero. You're the one that's creating this new place, this new generation of kids that can love themselves and respect themselves, even if they have done something that society would say isn't right. You see, we're not bound by our past. We're only living in the present, and we only have our future to look to. We don't have to be bound by the past and limit ourselves there. So, we created this float. In my mind, then I put it on paper, then I took it out, I showed Katie, I showed the class, I showed Heather. I talked to Heather actually on the phone, and we emailed back and forth. And Heather and Katie have had a lot of experience building floats. So tell me about this. Heather said, you got to have a lot of color. Make it colorful. And so we did. And we tapped into Andrew, who is one of our youth. And Andrew builds sets for Ponderosa High School. Great. So Andrew built, not triple this board, Andrew built our schoolhouse here. We have a little red schoolhouse on our floor. We created a classroom. We had a blackboard here that said our hero, teachers, to let everybody know that's who we were recognizing as our hometown hero, was our teachers. And then we had, it's hard to see here, but there were red apples all along the sides of the float. And we had what I had counted as 12 different teachers here in our congregation. And so your names were on here. It was wonderful. Yes, Mrs. Watson, your name was on there. Yes, Mr. Martin, your name was on there. We had all these people that we were honoring as teachers. We had more teachers that came that rode on the float. So we had some hay on here, and we had, I think, 8 teachers or something like that riding on the float. We had a big apple. You can't see it because I hate Katie's head here. But we had a big apple sitting on top of a teacher's desk. It was wonderful. On the back of the float, on the back of the sign here, we had painted it red, and in white letters, Phil's daughter Mary and Maya created the words. They put the lettering on there that said, "God bless and protect our teachers and our kids." It was beautiful. We won an award. We got the first place social media award. And the miracle here was, somehow the judges didn't have our name to be judged. I said, well, a lot of people judge me. Why don't you? And I talked to the 3 judges, and they said, well, we have this one award, and we don't know what it is. It's a social media award. I said, well, let me explain it to you. So the Parker Chamber said, we're going to give a social media award this year, and that's for the organization that creates a sneak peek into building your float. Takes pictures, and then between June 2nd and June 5th, you post those pictures on the Chamber of Commerce website. And whatever organization gets the most likes, shares, and comments, we'll count all of those up, wins the social media award. Well, the Chamber, I don't think, ever really got to fix their website so you could put your pictures on there. So Katie McAllister rocks. She took pictures, I took pictures, I sent them to her. She created all the pictures on our Facebook page, and then she linked it to put a link on our page to the Chamber page. And when I explained to the judges what we'd done, and they pulled up the Chamber website and looked and said, well, there's no place for pictures here. And I said, and here's ours. And I showed them our Facebook page. We won social media. I'm tired. Should I just call you Katie MacArthur or Katie McAllister? MacArthur, I'm sorry. So thank you for your help. Thank you, Heather, for your ideas and your thoughts. And they both came and helped build the float, paint the float, create the float. So what I created in my mind, shared with others, came to fruition. And it created us a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie. We had 28 people from this spiritual community show up yesterday to either ride on the float or walk with us, passing out candy and cards. I was very pleased. The crowd was so pleased until we ran out of candy. Then we took our little bottles of water and gave them bottles of water until we ran out of water. We had business cards. Some of the kids even took the business cards. They just wanted something. So we have new business cards that I just had printed. They're over here on the source table. And they have our meeting location and time on it, and our contact information. So if you want to pick some of those up, we passed out probably close to 700 of these cards yesterday.
Wow.
So pray that those seeds get planted. There were a lot of people. I heard one lady say, meditation, I've been looking for a place to do meditation. I need to check that out. So a lot of good. Okay, let's move ahead.
And you got us shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we had shirts with our logo on them. We looked really great. Okay. On page 44 of the same book, Love and Law, Ernest Holmes says, you can draw from an invisible principle which receives your thought and acts upon it. Just what you believe, you will get. So again, what we believe, what we see in our minds is what we're going to create in our world. So are we looking for good, or are we looking for everything to break down? When you watch the news, we're feeding ourselves usually with negative news. A A lot of people say it's the negative news that sells, but there's good news that goes on. There's positive things that are happening in the world. And so that's where we want to focus ourselves and our lives. Another example of how we use our minds to create here. The obvious to me is Star Wars. Before anyone can become a Jedi Master, they must first come to an understanding and a belief that the Force is an energy within them. It's the truth and it's the life force within them. And that's what drives them then to be a Jedi Master and to be able to follow the leading of that force. Some of us understand this inherently. Most of us have been kind of beat down as children and told you can't do that. You'll never be able to accomplish that. And so from those messages, we get told that we can't do something, and we begin to believe that. We have to retrain our brains, retrain our thinking to remember that force within us, that energy, that we are energy beings, and that we can create anything. That God is our power and our source. Do this with me. Put your hands together and rub them. Rub them good to activate the energy. And then hold your hands just an inch or so apart. You can feel the energy there. If you pull it away and put it back, you can feel that energy. That's the energy of our bodies, and we emit that energy out into the world. Are we emitting energy that is positive and that we will be attracted to and have others attracted to us? Or are we emitting a negative energy? It's our choice. It's how we're going to think. If we're thinking love and kindness and peace, that's one energy. If we think hate, if we think fear, that's a different energy. And so we get to be awake and aware. Even Luke Skywalker, who had the Force working through him and demonstrated that time after time as he was growing up, he knew how to act, where to move the sword, what to do to defend himself. He was one with that source, and he could step into that power. And then he would have times where he would forget that he was connected, forget that he was one with that power, that source. And so to see him try to raise his ship up out of the water, and for him to feel that force coming up through his hands, the ship beginning to rise, and then in his mind have the doubt that this may not be. I may not have the power to do this. The force may not be moving through me right. And see the ship start to sink again. How many times in our lives have we been on the verge of really creating something wonderful, having a great opportunity for ourselves, and let that self-doubt slip in to take away what it is that we dreamed of? Maybe I'm the only one who's done that. But I kind of suspect no. On NPR, they had a story that they shared about cartographers. Cartographers draw maps, make maps. And in the early days, when the theory was the world was flat, cartographers would make their maps of the known world. And then beyond the known world, they would put in a sign that said something like, "Here be dragons." Because they didn't know what went on past what they knew as the real world. The ancient explorers had to find out that there were no boundaries. There were no edges to the world, and definitely there were no dragons. Someone has to stare down their fears in order to rid the world of the dragons that we create in our minds. That same thing goes for all of us. We have that opportunity to stay within the boundaries of what we know, or to be able to sail out past those boundaries, to face those dragons of our own mind, and to move into new experiences of life. Have you ever accomplished something that you've never done before and been so pleased with yourself? You've sailed past into that land of dragons, and you've slain the dragon because you've been able to do what it is that you wanted to do. There are 3 steps in creation: belief, think, and move. Wallace Wattles says, by thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it. So I've talked a lot about dreaming about what you want, but we also have to take action to do it. I could have a great idea of building a float and being in the Partner Day Parade, but if I wasn't willing to take some action, we wouldn't have been able to have the float. It took all of us coming together to create that. And so it takes action in our lives to create something new. I want to share a quote here from Ernest Holmes because it talks about Colorado, to be quite frank. He says, in the Colorado Rockies, there's a beautiful valley from which many fountains gush forth. Each fountain is different. More water comes from some than from others. But there's only one body of water at a deep subterranean level, which flows through each one of those fountains. We as individuals have our own thoughts, hopes, and feelings, our own aspirations and desires, and each is directly and intimately connected with the one divine life, that energy and power. Each of us is a fountain of life. There's a God pressure back of each one of us, life force seeking outlet through our thoughts and actions. There are many fountains, many individuals, but only one God pressure back of it all. You see, Ernest Holmes used that imagery of water a lot in his teaching. And he said, throughout the Bible, we have this simile of water, typifying the flow of pure spirit. It's impossible to think that spirit can be anything solid. It's always fluid. We can hasten to the advent of good by definitely declaring with our thoughts and by daily meditating upon this invisible source, the wellspring of life within us. So we get to choose. We can meditate. We can pray. We can tap into that one source that is the life of God that we each express. Many fountains, but one source, the God pressure behind that life. I like that theology there. There was a French psychologist and pharmacist named, however you say this, Émile Coué. He actually had Coup de la, and then a big long name. But this was how he was listed in the dictionary. And he treated people with a method called optimistic autosuggestion. Big term here. But as a pharmacist, when he would give people their prescription, he would tell them all the benefits of this drug and what it was going to do for them and how it could help them. And so that's the auto-suggestion. He would suggest to them, they would take that into their mind, and it's like, oh, well, the pharmacist said this was going to help them. This is what it would do. And that's what they would expect. He got so good at this, and people were responding so well, that he spread out. He was a philosopher, too. And so he started giving them their medicine, telling them what it would do, and he would also tell them that they needed to say, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And so that's my challenge for you this week, is for you to say 20 times in the morning as you're waking up, and 20 times at night as you're falling asleep. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. It will change your life. It will tap you into that source that is below everything, empowering each one of us. And I'm going to end with a little poem here called I Am That. I wish that you could see what I see, the light which connects you to each other, the light which connects you to me, for I am that which thou art. When Jesus met each disciple, he said, lay down your tools and follow me. No one said, in a minute, Lord, or wait for me, I must go to the store. I have to go to work. I have to go to the gym. I have to take a shower. Or I have to feed the dog. They simply followed their heart. They laid down their old lives and walked the action that I talked about. And they learned that surrender leads to grace. For I am that which thou art. They knew that they were not perfect people, that they each had a past. They had mistakes. They hurt people they loved. And they hurt themselves. And when the Master knelt down to wash their feet, they discovered that they were all worthy and divine. No one more or less than the other. They became a family. And they learned that they were each magnificent children of God. For I am that which thou art. Love one another. Remember every moment. Beauty and grace are within you. Surrender to your highest good. Forgive one another. Cup each other's hearts in the palms of your hand. Hold each other above the water. Surround each other with love. Wash each other's feet. Always look to each other's eyes and remember, I know that you see what I see, the light that connects us all.